My mentors told me, Josh, you need to furlough at least 50% of your team or you're going to go out of business or lay them off. And I just refused to do it. I just felt in my heart it was just wrong and I wouldn't do it. And I didn't do it. And we're still here today and we're stronger than ever. What do you think my team thinks about me now?
All right. Welcome, everybody. Today's guest, Josh York, is going to be an amazing interview. We're going to talk a lot about his company, GYMGUYZ. And if you guys live under a rock or something like that, maybe you've never heard of his company, but if you're someone that actually doesn't live under a rock, you definitely have heard of this company. So it's one of the fastest growing private companies. And if you don't mind, let me start with a quote that you said. I love this. It says, "When you build a growth mindset, a resilient mindset, it allows you to literally just push through every challenge in life."
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Chris, thank you very much for having me on the show. I really am grateful and appreciate it. It's really nice of you. And look, your mindset's everything, my friend. I always like to say bad times, horrible times, the worst times you could possibly imagine build strong people, right? Good times, happy, jolly times and everything's great, build weak people. And I like to do things that most people would never do. Most people will end up in the hospital with the things I do. But I like to put myself in very uncomfortable situations because I'm just unstoppable. I'm the baddest person in the world. I don't care what anyone's got to say about it. That's what I believe. And everyone should believe that about themselves. But I truly am the baddest person in the world. And I'm unstoppable. No one will ever stop me. And when you build a resilient mindset, when you build a mindset where you actually believe in your mind that you are unstoppable, you're a superhero, you will be a superhero. It's very simple. And I've been thinking like this since I'm 16, 17 years old. I've just always been different. And it took me a very long time to understand, and I just think back to things I used to do and I'm like, man, I was built like this forever, but I never knew it. There was a period of time where I didn't feel confident and I didn't feel like I was capable, like I see my kids and I see my oldest and like this guy's he's gonna be amazing. And I don't have to teach him anything. Just follows what daddy does because good leaders always create other good leaders. And at the end of the day, when you can put yourself in just very difficult situations, I use my workouts and my ice bath and my sauna. I put myself in extreme situations. And I like to play, I call it games. Most people would say I'm totally twisted and sick because when someone comes in a sauna, I now have my own sauna in my house, but when I used to be in the gym and go in the sauna, I would play a game where if someone actually came in the sauna before I was about to leave, I couldn't leave until they leave. And I once was in a sauna for almost an hour and a half. And I will not drink water in the sauna. I refuse to drink water in the sauna. It's just like a thing I do. And I wouldn't leave until the other person left. And I can't say anything to them. They can't know that I'm thinking that. But it's just I'm just always going to be better than everyone else. And when people start thinking like that, you'll be great too.
That's why winners win, Josh. I mean, listen, before we came on to this interview, I already knew I was going to like you, but damn, dude, I like your style. Not only that, one of the cool things you said in there, and I got to get this out in the open. You said, hard times create strong men. Weak times create weak men. Have you ever read the book by Stefan Arnio, or I should say the late Stefan Arnio?
No, I have not. No.
Oh, you got to write that down. Stefan Arnio wrote a book before he passed. He was a good friend of mine, and it's called Hard Times Create Strong Men. And it embodies everything you just said without you even having ever read that. So, I think there's a lot of people that have that mindset, but I think a lot of people just don't come out and say, I'm badass, I'm unstoppable. I think they hide that inside them because society and this world and just all this bullshit that we're living in right now has created really weak people that want to hide, don't want to say what they really think because they're scared of what someone else thinks. Fuck everybody's thoughts and what they think about you. Come out and tell people who you are, what you stand for, and what you're going to do to change this world and other people's lives. And by you saying you're unstoppable, that's exactly what you were saying. And I didn't mean to come out of the gate swearing and everything, but damn, and it's just interesting times right now. And those interesting times need some changes. And it takes people like you, leaders, that actually can go out there and say that. And I admire you for that. I really do. And it makes total sense how you have one of the fastest growing companies in your space. And, I want to talk a little bit about GYMGUYZ. Before we get into that, the 5-minute rule, I read this and I thought this was brilliant. Can you tell everybody what the 5-minute rule is?
I look at business life like I'm playing a game. I don't play games. I don't play Nintendo, Xbox, whatever. I don't play games. I don't watch TV. I've never actually used Netflix before. People laugh at me with that, but I've actually never even turned it on. I don't even know how to use it. But I play a great game every day. And this great game is the game of life. And I do believe success truly does leave little hints, little clues. And if you're able to actually be connected, and people are going to think I'm crazy when I talk like this, but this is legit stuff, right? Like this, I'm friends with multiple billionaires. Like this is legit. And I've been believing this stuff even before I've been friends with these people. But like the universe is real. It's real. I will tell you that right now. I've been in some of the worst situations ever, like so bad. Like picture me being in a movie on a shark hook hung on the back of a door and someone's gutting my stomach. Like that's the type of pain I've been through in the 14 years of building this business. Okay. I own 100% of this company. I've never taken on any investors. So I can tell you some painful times I've been through, but listen, at one point I lost almost $300,000. And after 5 minutes, I said, screw it. I didn't care less. Now, most people would never be able to do that. So what's a 5-minute rule? It's very simple. You want to kick, scream, you want to cry like a baby, whatever you want to do. Okay. After 5 minutes, you just move on. You stop. You pretend like it never happened. You have to brainwash yourself to think that, wow, what just happened? And that's what I literally do. And, I've been through some of the worst things you could possibly ever imagine. Not just, having a horrible life growing up, but just in general and just business. Like, you need money to grow. When you don't have money and you're literally trying to do everything you possibly can, and you have every single person chasing you for money, and even the IRS, I could tell you crazy stories of what I've been through. 5-minute rule is very important. So something bad happens, it's a Monday morning, the day's great, and your top marketing person walks in and says, I quit. I'm not giving you 2 weeks, take care. Okay, run your head through the wall, scream, whatever you want to do, put the timer on. After 5 minutes, you just move on and you pretend like it never happened. Because I promise you this, I'm telling you this as a guarantee. When one door closes, the next door that opens is always better. It's always better. But you're not able to see that light until you actually experience the darkness that's going to come up to that light. Because you go in any dark tunnel, I promise you there's light. I promise you there's light in that tunnel. Promise.
Yeah. And I think there's an important lesson in that. And it's especially now, we are going to enter hard times pretty soon. We've been in easy times far too long. And these hard times are going to create a darkness for a lot of people. And a lot of people want to just bury their head in the sand. But there's going to be a few people just like you and those that are carved from that same cloth that are going to stand up, raise the torch and say, follow me. I'll send you or lead you to safety or lead you to fulfillment or whatever you want to call it in life. And I think that 5-minute rule has a lot to be said about that, because if it's not important, then why are you focused on it? But let's take that energy and change that right over to entrepreneurs. This is, right now, since COVID, a lot of people quit their jobs. Some people just took early retirements, but a lot of people just quit their jobs to go out there and venture into this world of entrepreneurship, because everybody, is watching TikTok or Instagram and they think being an entrepreneur means you get a Lamborghini and you have all sorts of money. But you and I both know I've been an entrepreneur since I've been 16, and you've been in this game a long time. And that story about being gutted on a fish hook. Yeah. I think most entrepreneurs that have been in the game for a long time feel that. But do the entrepreneurs of today's world understand what it actually takes to be a real entrepreneur? Do they have the fortitude and the willingness to actually go through it when you're literally so close to failure that all you want to do is quit? But entrepreneurs can't just quit, because once you quit, it's game over. That's the only way to fail. Entrepreneurs fail all the time, but they learn from their failures and move on. I don't think the new breed of entrepreneurs understand what being an entrepreneur actually means. Your book talks about that, Fuel, what it takes to survive as an entrepreneur. So what does it take to survive?
Well, look, I think the problem is, people, are so focused on social media when 99% of the crap is fake. And sometimes once in a while when I want to have some fun, and someone sends me a message like, hey, I'm an expert and I can coach you. And, I help CEOs to grow their businesses. And I go, oh, wow, really? That's great. And they're like, yeah, well, can we set up a call? I said, yeah, I would love to set up a call with you. Oh, fantastic. What works? I say, well, one of my, prerequisites for the phone calls, I just please need to see your financial statements. So you can send me the last 6 months of your bank statements, please. And then we can have a call. Excuse me? I said, yeah, well, you're telling me you're going to help and you're successful. Like, I'd like to see that, to this day. And I've done it with probably a handful of people. No one's obviously ever sent me any of their financials because, like, are you going to take advice on how to have a good head of hair from me? No, because I don't have hair, right? That's really stupid. That's like taking an advice on how to get a six pack from a person who's overweight. The problem is everyone follows and thinks like, like my friend Gary V, right? Gary, he's awesome. And people think like, oh, I want to be like Gary. You have no idea what it's like to be like Gary, or, people look and see all this flashiness and overnight success. They think that happens instantly. Nothing happens instantly. Nothing happens overnight. Like I think is a minimum of a decade, at least a minimum of a decade.
It's got to be a decade, if not longer.
Yeah, like at least, and stop paying attention to everyone else's journey and focus on yourself. I have good friends that didn't hit their big numbers until they were in their 50s. Like there's always time. The problem is you have, look, I have lots of acquaintances. I have a couple friends that are good friends. I don't hang out. I really don't. I don't hang out. I don't go out with people. I spend time with my family and that's it. I like to always say, you see an eagle flying, you always see an eagle flying alone, right? And if you want to be superior, you have to focus on obviously, what's going to get you there. And the problem is most people focus on all this BS crap that's on social media. That's all fake. And if you're sitting around and you have enough time throughout the day to be messaging and liking every single picture in it, you're not winning, my friend, because someone like me is going to eat your food every single day. And, that's the challenge, So like, people think this entrepreneurship is this glorified thing. Like I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like I've had so many people have worked for me over the years and they literally have left and quit and said, yeah, I'm going to be doing this on my own. And like I knew within 5 seconds of even those words coming out of their mouth, they'd never be able to do it. There's a radar I have, and I can tell in 5 seconds if they're going to be able to do it or not. You need to be a certain type of individual to do it.
So you built this successful fitness business and health business, but it's different. It's very different. When I think of a gym, I think of getting in my car, you drive to a location, you actually go in, you pay a membership or whatever it is, and you do your workout and you go home. You saw that there was a need. How did you identify this need that your company solved? And then how did you go out there and literally just kick ass and build this company to what it is today, which and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a franchise now, because if you look online, you see a whole bunch of what look to be red, but almost with a hint of pink Nissan vans. So we're going to talk about what this Nissan thing is, but like, how did you find this need? Because I think every successful entrepreneur solves a problem, but they solve a problem for somebody else, not for themselves. Their problem doesn't matter until they solve a whole lot of people's problems. So you solved a lot of people's problems. Let's talk a little bit about how you built this empire.
If you look at the most successful business models out there in the gym space, they're a very small fee monthly, very small, right? Well, their whole model is based on you not going to the gym, because psychologically someone says, all right, well, I'm paying $20 a month. I have a gym membership, I'm getting healthy. And most people don't even use it. And that's how a lot of these businesses make money. For me, I've always been into fitness and I love helping people. But the biggest problem I've always say is doctors are just like trainers, right? A trainer without clients is unemployed, and a doctor without patients is unemployed. And being a trainer is not scalable. You cannot be a trainer forever. You're only going to be able to make a certain amount of income, and that's it. And if you're working at a gym, unless you go on the show Undercover Boss or you get very lucky, you're not moving up the ranks. It's almost impossible unless you're with a company in the early stages. So, I've been training, love training, helped a lot of people. I was making a very good salary at a very young age. And I gave it all up because, I was taught you need to get a 9-to-5 job. If I would have done it all over again, I would have never gone to school, ever. I would have never went to school. School is great for, hanging out, friends, girls, all that. School was awesome for that. Other than that, I literally got nothing out of it. But they said, you're supposed to get a 9-to-5 job. And I'm like, I need to start my career. So I started working for this miserable company Like you would walk it, like when you walk in my headquarters, you're hit with such energy, like you almost can't make it through the door. Like you feel like a wind's hitting you at like 700 miles an hour because it's just, the energy here is incredible, incredible. I walk in this office building, you thought people were dying. Like it was horrible. Like I felt like I was in like a morgue. It was like the worst thing ever. And I'm sitting at this desk, and this is the typical environment for most people. There's an actual stat that almost 90% of people drive to work every day or sign in now virtually committing spiritual suicide. Oh, it's Monday. I hate Mondays. Oh, it's Wednesday. It's the halfway point of the week. I'm so excited. Oh, Friday's here. TGIF. It's Friday. Listen, if you hate Mondays, you're broken. Okay? If you're excited for Fridays, you're broken. Okay? At the end of the day, I said to myself, look, I got to go back to what I love, my passion. I went back to fitness. And one day, one client came in late and said, Josh, I wish you can come to my house. I just don't have any equipment. And I was like, wow. The first thing that popped in my mind was, this is like one of those ideas where it's like, this is so simple. No one's ever professionalized this service. And I started thinking of like these cleaning companies, right? These big franchises that clean homes. Like how hard is it for a couple people to get a car, get some mops, some cleaning supplies, rags, and clean homes? Not hard, but it's about systems. It's about scalability. It's about creating a model that works, and professionalism and uniforms and how to speak and how to provide the service and how to have the correct POS systems and CRM systems and accounting systems and phone systems. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna start this business on my own. I'm gonna get a van and get all the equipment I need, 365 pieces at the time, one to break down, one for each day of the year. Go out, provide our 3 C's, convenient, customized, and creative workouts. We're gonna service clients anywhere from their home, office, pool, park, place of worship, hospital, senior homes, you name it, corporations, and so on and so on. And I'm going to franchise this, and I'm going to build, literally, I've been saying the same thing since I've been sitting in my dining room. I'm going to build the largest fitness brand in the world, and no one's going to stop me. I've been saying the same thing. When people would laugh at me when I'd have them in my parents' house, and there goes my dad in his underwear. And I'd be like, Dad, stop. I told you I got someone coming over. It was the most unprofessional thing ever. And then I started meeting people in like coffee shops, and no one took me seriously. But the way I was able to convince people is from my energy, from my passion. I don't drink coffee. I'm high on fuel all day, every day. And that's my own fuel. That's called the Josh York fuel. And I'm able to pump myself up and pick myself up. Even if I'm dead exhausted and I haven't slept for 3 days, I could still turn myself on just like that. And for me, I started this out, and literally I saved up money. I got a gig from a friend at a country club, caddying. I actually hate golf. I'd rather stare at a wall and watch paint dry. Okay. And I learned everything about golf, but I always do things extra. So this country club, I did research to find out who's the biggest players in the club, who are the most successful people. And I made it my priority to stand, they had like a caddy shack, and I stood right, making sure I was ready, the next one to go out. So I can go out with these people and build a relationship with them. Because if you can't build relationships, you might as well just run into the wall, because you're never going to go anywhere. And I created a good relationship with these guys, and they used to give me a couple $100 every time I go out with them. And I saved all the money, and I literally spent everything except for $2,000, enough money to cover my expenses for 2 weeks. And I do what I do best is do or die. I love being against the wall. Like I love being in that video where you're standing in the middle and the walls are closing in and they have the sharp edges and you're about to get sliced. That's what I love. I love to be that. I'm that guy who just loves to. I just thrive in that environment. And
Indiana Jones came to my mind. That's the only thing I remember is that thing, those walls closing in.
There you go. And we started franchising in 2014. Today, we service over 800 cities in the United States. We operate in Canada, the United Kingdom. We're about to go into another country, which I can't disclose yet. And 2022 is going to be the biggest year we've ever had in the history of the company. And at this point, we're quadrupling our sales. It's really incredible. And it's just it's not crazy to say, because I've always known and I believe. And when you believe in yourself and you have such belief that's so powerful, and you don't let anyone interfere with that belief, and you stay focused and you're able to really excel, not when you're up here, when you're down here, that's how you win. That's how you win. And here we are today.
So one thing you had to figure out, and I think a lot of business owners get stuck here, They create this business from this idea, this problem that they're going to solve, which is exactly what you did. Somebody said, hey, gosh, I wish you could just come to my house, but I don't have any stuff. You're like, ding, there's your idea. And you knew what the problem was. You had a lot of people that want to work out at their homes. They just don't have the equipment and the means to get it. So you provided that service. But in the beginning of almost any entrepreneur's life and regular work life, you are taught to trade hours for dollars. You and what you're going to do are all related to how many hours there are in a day and how much work you can do in those hours, which then for some comes up with a monetary value for their hour, which I hate, because I believe when somebody puts a monetary value on an hour, they are pricing themselves at too low of a price. And I don't care how much they put. They could say, I'm worth $1 million an hour. Too cheap, because your time is priceless. But when you're building this thing and you had this van, maybe 2, maybe 5, there's only so many hours in the day for you to go out and see people. So how did you take your vision, your energy, and your culture, and then get other people on board with that, to the tune of, I don't know how many franchisees you have, but how did you get all of them to see the vision and to understand that this is a path they should choose without running out of hours in your day?
Yes. Yeah. So we have about 100 franchise owners. We're about to add an additional 50 to 60 this coming year. So we'll have a couple hundred in the next couple of years. So, you got to be a very good storyteller. You have to be able to tell good stories, and you have to be able to influence, and you have to have good energy. Energy is contagious, and it's really the key to everything, and something that I started doing in the early days of when we started really growing was I create these rap songs that I actually write. I don't sing them, and I tie them with our conference recap videos. And my franchise partners always say, Joshua, why do you do that? Such a waste of time. First of all, the songs are absolutely incredible. You can check them out on YouTube. Just go to the GYMGUYZ channel and just go watch the recharges. That's our annual conference. It's the greatest marketing hiring tool in the world. People get so fired up just watching the thing that it's just out of control, right? It's just out of control. And, you have to be able to have tools, to use tools to be able to execute on that. And that's very, very important. Very, very important. And for me, I've just always been very good at just influencing people. It's a skill I have. And it's not a skill that happened overnight. It took me a very, very long time to, craft that skill, to become better at it. It comes down to being able to have the ability to paint a picture. You need to have a vision. You need to share that vision. You need to fight and do whatever you have to do to get to that vision. And you got to be a leader, right? You got to, you got to be the best poker player without even knowing how to play poker. I don't even know how to play poker. I'm the best poker player. You will never know what I feel inside. You will never feel my emotions. You'll never know when I'm scared. You'll never know. You'll never know. You will never know. I've been mentored by some of the best in the world. Okay. And during the pandemic, I was scared. I didn't know what to do, right? Our business took a huge hit. I lost millions of dollars. And, my mentors told me, Josh, you need to furlough at least 50% of your team or you're going to go out of business or lay them off. And I just refused to do it. I just felt in my heart it was just wrong and I wouldn't do it. And I didn't do it. And we're still here today and we're stronger than ever. What do you think my team thinks about me now? They always knew we were unstoppable. And now they just know you can never, no matter what's thrown our way, you will never stop us, ever. It's just not going to happen. That's it. It's just not going to happen. And, my team looks at me as a stronger leader just because of that. And, leadership's where it's at, man. You got to be a good leader. You got to be a good leader. You got to lead your team.
I love that. The unstoppable attitude. But, a lot of people would listen to their mentors and would have been like, okay, yeah, you're right. I got to furlough. I got to lay all these people off, which was against everything you wanted. But too many people would have conformed to what their mentors told. And forget about mentors. Let's say people don't have mentors. They just have family. Okay. They have friends and they're telling them about this vision. And it's during hard times when they're on that meat hook getting gutted. If you really want that mental picture of like pure pain of being an entrepreneur at the lowest points. And somebody says, this is, do this. Too many people conform to that. Why do you think there's so few people that would stand up and just keep creating, keep following their vision versus people that just conform, take the high road, the easy road, whatever you want to call it?
It's very simple. It's lack of confidence, right? I always say confidence changes everything. And, look, my own wife now, then girlfriend at the time, when I was moving out of my parents' dining room, it's like, Josh, are you really sure? Like, it's almost laughable when I think about it now, because it was like the rent was like $1,000 a month at the time, which was so much money at the time. I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. And she's like, I don't think you should do it. You got to believe in yourself. Like, if you don't believe in your abilities, like, I've done crazy things, man. Like, I've given people high six-figure salaries before I was even making 30, 40 grand a year. Like, I have done a lot of crazy things, but they've all been calculated. Like, I've always seen in my mind, I've seen how it's going to play out, and how bringing on this position is going to generate X amount of revenue, and that X amount of revenue is going to generate this, and it's going to open up more opportunity. And then I'm going to be able to bring on someone else with this revenue. I never said, all right, great, I'm going to hire this person, they're going to make money, I'm going to be able to pocket and buy a Benz or buy a Bentley or buy a land. I've never been that guy. Never that guy, because I know the road that has to be, driven right now to get to where we need to go. And you got to stick to that. The problem is it's very easy to fall off track and go off road, because so many people are talking in your ear. You need to believe in yourself and listen to yourself, and again, like, I always compare myself to my now good friend, Mr. Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, which is another story for another day. But, I've done exactly what he's done. I created a new category. It's never existed. So of course people are going to tell me I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Of course they're going to tell me it's never going to work. Of course they're going to tell me you're crazy. Of course they're going to say every possible negative thing you could ever say in your life. You just got to keep moving. And honestly, no one's going to care about you or what you do. You want to get recognition? Do something. Like, people reach out to me and they're like, oh, hey, I'd love to be a guest on your show, on your podcast. What have you done? Like, what have you actually done? Like, people say they want to be motivational speakers. You can't be a motivational speaker without actually doing something. No one's going to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so crazy. And some people actually say, oh, great, I want to hire this person. They've done absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the challenge, So for me, it's confidence. You got to have confidence. And when you have confidence, it changes everything. But confidence comes with practice. Practice always makes permanence. Not perfect, permanence. You got to continue to perfect your craft every single day and get good at it and get good at it and get good at it and then get better at it. And then you become unstoppable. But that takes time. It takes a lot of work,
Oh, trust me. Yeah, I know. But too many people don't today, but they're going to, and that's the interesting part about life is, you can go along on the easy street, but eventually that easy street ends and hard life is going to kick in, and you got to face up and be unstoppable, or take the challenge, or just cower over and conform to what everybody else tells you to do, which is basically conforming to other people's failed realities, failed dreams, and failed journeys. So if you want to fail, conform. If you want to succeed, be unstoppable and create your destiny is basically what I'm taking from that. What is success? I ask myself that all the time. What is success? For some people, it's more money. For some people, it's, having a good relationship with your spouse or your children. To some people, it's the things that they have, the Ferrari, the big house. Success comes in so many shapes and sizes, and there's no one right or wrong. But what is success to you?
Look, success is a couple things to me. Number one, you got to be healthy. Okay. I truly believe fitness is the drug of everything. It's like the gateway drug. Like, that is the number one drug. Like, when you can be healthy and take care of yourself, because you could have all the money in the world, and then tomorrow, it could be going into your bank account, and then you could die, or what good is the money going to be, right? You have to take care of yourself. If you could be healthy and be in shape and look good naked, your whole life's going to change. Your confidence is going to change. Everything's going to change. Then obviously financially, you need to have money. Okay. People say money doesn't make you happy. Let me tell you something. Money makes things easy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to question things. You can do things that others can't do. Right. I always say entrepreneurship is living a couple of years of your life like most people won't. So you live the rest of your life like most people can't. Okay. And that's a quote that goes out there by, you hear all the time. And it's very, very, very true. You need to be able to, one, understand at the end of the day, it comes back to one person, yourself. And if you want to be successful, that's up to you and only you. But I think it's just being able to live a happy life. Like, you want to live a happy life. Like, for me, I just want to provide things that I never was able to have for my children. And I just want them to know what it is to be loved and have just extreme amount of happiness and that feeling of happiness, right? And you can do that, it's great. And you know, that's the way I look at it, you know. But also it's taking a team with you, right? You know, my big thing from day one is always like, I'm going to make more millionaires than you can possibly imagine in my organization. And I've already done some ridiculous things with my team members. I'm extremely generous. And you know, I love when I make people cry, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean to cry out of happiness, like, oh my God, you know. And I could share stories for years. Like, I remember one of my first people that came on board, you know, I barely was able to pay her anything, and she just believed so much in me and the vision, and I'll never forget it. And I overheard her once in the bathroom crying because she had to sell a diamond watch her great grandmother gave her, and she was hysterical crying to her friend. And I have a little piggy bank I keep right here in my head, and I never forget those things. And a couple of years ago, I bought her a beautiful diamond watch, and she literally was hysterical crying, and it was the best feeling in the world. And if you don't have the ability to get excited by stuff like that, then you better not get into entrepreneurship, because you're getting into it for all the wrong reasons.
You're absolutely correct. And, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that about that diamond watch, you know, and all entrepreneurs have that choice to give or to not give, but, you know, you're not going to make it long if you don't give and focus on, you know, helping other people. And I did something today that,
Yep.
you know, just came from nowhere. You know, just one of our key people here, Shauna, you know, I just grabbed my checkbook and I just wrote a check. Sometimes you don't really need to think about things or calculate things. You just do what feels right. And I wrote the check and I gave it to her. Now, she was on calls, I was on calls, but I went back in her in her office, and you know, she just kind of, you know, it was joy, you know, and maybe a little bit of tears. And she said to me, "You're never going to believe this, you know, that you were talking about the universe and everything." And she said, "You know, everything you always say about giving is exactly true. Before you gave me this envelope with this check in it, I had written a check to, we have one of our team members who just went through that typhoon that wiped everything out, and it destroyed her house. And, you know, she doesn't have money to rebuild it, and things aren't the same in third world countries. So we basically put together a GoFundMe, and we were trying to get it, and we only had $700 raised in it. I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, 700, come on, you know? So I rallied the team today to kind of give it, you know, $10 minimum. You can give whatever you want, but $10 is your minimum. So Shauna had written a check for exactly the same amount that I had given her. You know, it's not coincidence, folks. You think, oh, that's just luck. Look, luck follows opportunity. There is no such thing as luck. I had no idea what the dollar amount should be on that check. I just did what was in my heart. She did the exact same thing, maybe 10, 15 minutes earlier, and wrote a check or sent money to this GoFundMe. The dollars were exactly the same. And if you don't believe that that's real and that's the universe working and not just some coincidence, then I don't know what rock you're living under, folks. Like, you guys got to wake up and realize, like, that's what life's about. Life's about helping others and giving to others, because that's where the joy is. That's where the success is. Josh, you just spelled that out. Like, that's life. And the more you do of that, the more you are fulfilled in your life, the more money you'll have, the more things you can do. But, you know, it's backwards today. Everybody wants to work to solve their problem, to get their things and listen, I know this because I did that. When I was a Wall Street guy, like, it was all about make money and get nice things, keep up with the Joneses. You know, that guy's got a new car, so I got to get a new car. And guess what happened? Every time I rode that path, I failed. Every time I'd get money, I'd have a bunch of things, and it was all get stripped from me. The money would just flee me for one event or another. And then I just changed everything, and I started giving as a primary and solving other people's as a primary. Man, it just keeps flowing in. And that's what you just said. I mean, whether it's a watch or just, it could be anything, but man, that was a great explanation of success. Now, you're friends with Gary Vee, and I think everybody watching this knows who Gary Vee is, you know, and I think very few people understand Gary Vee's struggles and challenges and what he's built. But I want to talk about one thing that not many people will know. And we kind of dug into this. You sent Gary Vee a tire. Why a tire?
That's the same way I got connected with Phil Knight. So I like to ship people tires. I ship people 18-wheeler truck tires. And I came up with this idea in my ice bath one morning. That's actually when I'm the most creative. I literally have a pad right next to my ice bath. So when I'm done, all my ideas, I just jot them down. And I write, my drive and intensity will leave tread marks all over your floor. We need to connect. And, you know, I kind of, you know, I have this whole concept, fuel your drive, in my podcast, my book, and fuel in the company is the 4 pillars of success: fun, unity, earnings, and leadership. drive, those are our core values. And obviously you can't drive without fuel. Determination, respect, integrity, versatility, and excellence. And that's kind of how I created the concept. And the tire makes a statement. I've sent it out to 22 people, about $600 to ship the tire. And I'm extremely OCD and very, very crazy and like things a certain way. And, these packages are a pain in the ass to ship out because I refuse to leave the store until I can pack it. I have to pack it because I want it a certain way. And literally when this woman at the store would see me walking in, she'd literally run to the back. She hated me. And I just recently shipped out another one, but yeah, I shipped Gary a tire and he told his assistant to throw it out. And it was a very important statement, right? Like he never forgot that, and I didn't want the tire back. Phil Knight actually shipped the tire back to me. And he didn't even have to because they actually make it very clear that they won't ship it back unless you put a prepaid, package in the box that you ship. And he was blown away by that. His assistant said in 36 years of, working with him, no one's ever approached him that way that he termed remarkable and special. But that was very big with Gary. And, after consistency and consistency and consistency and consistency, because, if you want a real Harvard degree, I'll give it to you in 1 second. Don't quit. That's it. That's all it is. Don't quit. It's very, very simple. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if you get negative. Look, I've had more non-sufficient funds in my bank accounts over the years than sunny days in the Caribbean. I could tell you the craziest stuff. I used to get so embarrassed when I'd walk in the bank because my account was always negative. It was always negative, always, for years and years. And I had to pay this one, to pay that one, and do this, to do. It's crazy. You got to be like a mad scientist to figure this stuff out. There's levels to it. It's not easy, but you just don't quit. And, going on Gary's podcast, yeah, it was all about me. Like, that's why I went on it. But I was brilliant how I approached him because I wasn't going to beat around the bush. I told him what I wanted to do. And it's not going to happen yet. And he doesn't even know this yet. But we're going to do something on a bigger level, and it will happen. It will happen. But that's why it happened, because he knew that and he saw that, and he just knew I was a complete madman. But he also had me on because I've actually done something, and I built a successful brand. We're an international company, like that's what I'm trying to say earlier. Like, you're not going to be able to do things unless you have credibility and actually execute on something, which takes time and takes patience. I always say you have to be patient with results and impatient with action. I know some people who are very successful that are really not that smart. Like, I'm not that smart. I just do stuff. And I get a lot of smart people around me. So, of course, you have to have brains and you have to be intelligent, but you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You need to surround yourself with the smartest people in the room. And you need to know how to be able to understand who goes where, right? And develop the team and put the team together. So the appropriate skill sets are in the appropriate positions, and you build an all-star team, and the team executes, and you focus on what you're good at. And that's how you win. But me shipping tires is to send a statement and let people know, because I've been hibernating for a very long time because I've had nothing to prove, because I barely did anything years and years ago. But once the tires went out, that means I was coming out to play. And when I come out to play, no one's going to touch me. No one.
Love it. It's the old Henry Ford thing, something that too few people understand, the story of Henry Ford, who had, I think, about a 5th grade education, and people, they brought him to court. I think it was his family, actually, and the people in his company, Ford Motor Company, brought him to court saying, you're not fit to run this company. You don't have the education to run this company. And through this whole thing, he didn't say a whole lot, but then he was posed with a question, to say, why do you think you're smart enough? And his answer, and I'm not going to get it right, but was basically, I'm smart enough to know I'm not smart enough. I've got a row of buttons on my desk that are people smarter than me that I have surrounded myself with. So when I need something done, I know what button to push. That person is one of the smartest people in the world in that one thing. I'm smart enough to know that that's how things get done. And I think it's brilliant. And I probably butchered that, but anybody that knows the Henry Ford story knows that. That man went on to create Ford Motor Company. Look around, folks. Like, that's not a small company. It was built by a man who wasn't that smart, but he was genius. There's a difference between book smart and genius. There's a difference between going to school and getting an education and actually going out and doing something with your knowledge, because too many people are just striving for knowledge today. A lot of people, Josh, will listen to this podcast and will get all fired up and will do absolutely fucking nothing with this information, and their life will never change, but they'll go around wondering why nothing ever changes, why boo-hoo them, blaming everybody else as to why their life is shit. Their life's shit because they never got off the fucking couch to take action. That's all you did. You just went out there with a relentless pursuit and took action, and look what you've built. Man, it's such a simple formula, but yet nobody wants to subscribe to that because everybody tells them that doesn't work. Holy crap, man. How many billionaires do you know that's worked for?
Look, it's very true. And look, the reason I tell some of my secrets, I don't tell all of them, but the tire one I share all the time. And I know no one's ever going to do it, because you got to buy the tire. The tire is heavy as hell. You got to take the tire, put it in your vehicle. You got to go to the store. You got to get a box that's big enough to fit 7 humans in it. Then you got to stuff it. You got to get a special type of bubble wrap, because if you want the tire to stand up when it gets delivered and not move, you need a special type of bubble wrap that expands. You got to buy that bubble wrap. Then you got to put enough bubble wrap in there. Then you got to put a special tape so the rubber, make sure that the tape sticks on the rubber. I can go on with this whole process. It's a very, very, very calculated process. But let me tell you something right here, right? Street smart, book smart, street smart wins every single day of the week. You need to be street smart over being book smart. I was horrible in school, horrible. Why? Because I had no passion for it. I wasn't excited about it. It was boring. And all my teachers used to say I had a problem because I couldn't sit still. And I always would talk all the time. Okay, well, let me tell you something. You want to keep your mouth shut? You're never going to make money. You're never going to feed yourself. That's number one. Number two, I used to move around. That's great. Have energy. Energy is how you win. Okay. I make more money in probably sometimes in a day than my teachers make in a whole year. So, I remember, and I keep that little piggy bank here of people who've said stuff to me all over the years of, you're never going to do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. And, they're teaching, and look, teachers are great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a teacher. But school should be set up very differently. It really should. The first class everyone should learn is how to build relationships. Hands down, number one. I used to sit in these calculus classes and all this crap I used to do. For what? You just need to count money. As long as you know how to count money and add, subtract, multiply, divide, you're good. Doing calculus and derivatives and all this crazy stuff I learned over the years, and taking a music class, like to blow in instruments and hear different. Like, I understand the purpose. Like, they want you to be very diverse, and it's all nonsense. It's not going to help you win. It's just not going to help you win.
Everybody's got a superpower. Everybody's got one thing or two things that they're incredibly good at. I think school should identify that in kids and then focus everything on that superpower and let people be good at what they were put on this earth to be good at. And then all the other shit is just noise. It's just a waste of time. Find your superpower and go deep into it. And just like you keep saying, be relentless in the pursuit to what you're trying to do. So Josh, in the sake of time, one last question for you. What is your legacy that you're creating?
It's going to be wild, man. It's going to be wild. I'm going to go out better than Phil Knight. And a lot of people hear that and they're going to laugh at me, but I promise
I'm not laughing. I know you are.
You just watch. You just watch. I will be the Phil Knight of the fitness industry. That is a fact. And I will never stop. And in 15 years, people will be reading that book that I'm going to put out, that next special book. It's going to be called The Fuel. That's the name of the book. I'm already giving you the name. It's going to be called The Fuel. And that's what it's going to, and that's going to literally share stories that my own team are going to love to hear, because half the things that actually 75% of the things that have gone on over the years, no one would ever know. No one would ever know. And if they did, they would run for the hills and panic. But thank God we're past those times. And, we will be the Nike of the fitness industry.
I love it. I love it. So folks, I hope you all enjoyed this. This is some serious words of wisdom, and some of these words are the easiest things in the world to apply. Just get off the couch and go make it happen. That's the easiest way. Grab a copy of the book, Fuel, and you guys can get behind the scenes and really kind of dive into this. And I pulled it up on YouTube, so you guys should too. Pull up GYMGUYZ, and I just punched in recharge, because the next thing I'm going to watch is exactly what you did on that YouTube videos. Folks, it's not about what you learn. It's about what you actually do with what you learn. go out there, take action. And even if it just starts with watching that YouTube video, getting his book, or typing his name or his company name in Google to learn more, so that that will motivate you, fuel your fire, and get you guys off to the life you want. Josh, thank you so much for your time. It's been an honor and a privilege.
My pleasure, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you next time. And folks, thank you all for joining us for this episode. We'll see you on the next one. So if you like this video, I urge you, check out my other videos by subscribing to this YouTube channel. Hey, also, hit that little alerts button right up there. It's somewhere up there. Actually, smash the alerts button so that you are notified every time we put out a new video.
And I wanted to be the first cancer survivor to climb Everest, and I wanted to do it literally and use it as the highest platform in the world to scream hope.